Hi, Megan.
Hey, Devon.
Hi to our hockey style listeners, and welcome back to another episode. If you're new here, this is a place where we strive to create a community of like minded hockey superfans who love to go beyond the typical metrics and analytics of the game and really dig into the human aspect, the interpersonal connections, and of course, share the stories of the people behind the scenes who help shape the style of their team, their arena, their franchise, and of course, the sport that we all love best. So today is no exception. We are welcoming back two of our all time favorite guests, Joe Messina and Zach Smith from Second String Leather Company. If
So
you haven't,
exciting.
I know, I'm so excited. That was definitely one of our most favorite episodes. So if you
Yeah, for
haven't
sure.
checked out episode 8 yet, please
Mm-hmm.
do. This episode's going to be quite a bit different too. So, episode 8 will give you the background into Zach and Joe's idea for Second String Leather Company and the incredible products that they create out of game used and game worn goalie equipment and other sports coming down the pike too, but beautiful leather goods that we love to use and collect. Today's episode is going to be about my most favorite topic, though, because it's their subject matter expertise, goaltending. So, are you ready for some Tendy talk, Megan?
Here we go. Yeah, this is gonna happen someday, right?
It had to. You knew when I was your podcast co-host, it was bound to happen. So I had to have a theme. Shout out to Austin from Fresh Coast Hockey because this was the first product he ever created, the first design. I love the Michigan net, the hat that we talked about on his episode with the puck shooting through the net. And of course, I have to show my nerdy T-shirt of the day. If you're not listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube, it says you can't buy happiness, but you can buy a goalie stick. So I've thrown out a few goalie sticks behind me as well. I don't use them, but I love to collect them from some of my favorite goaltenders, which we will talk about in period 2. So
Yay.
let's start first, Megan, just talking about some of the wild things happening in the NHL this week because there's been a lot. Have you been keeping up with the trades?
Yeah, I mean, just a few, but some interesting things to talk about for sure. Yeah.
How's your fiance, aka my brother, feeling about Trevor Zegras leaving Anaheim and going over to Philly?
I don't think he liked it. I don't think he cared for it much. But
Oh,
what can you do?
he's a big Zegras fan,
Yes.
and not just because his favorite color is orange.
I think yeah, they can't stay away from the orange. I think he was just upset about all of the, Philadelphia Flyer cards in his future now. I think that bothered him.
Oh, yes. Yeah, because for all of our card breaks now, he's going to be forced to pick Philly.
Well, at least someone will want it
Interesting.
now.
Oh my gosh, you're
That was
you're
mean. I'm
right.
sorry.
You're right. We definitely have like our 12 teams that always get grabbed first for card
Yeah,
breaks. So
for sure.
yeah, if you aren't familiar with card breaks, check out our episode with Stacey Nutini and Puck
Mm-hmm.
Gals to hear our crazy hobby besides podcasting. Um,
Yes.
who else? Oh, today, Evander Kane got traded from Edmonton to Vancouver Canucks for just
Mm-hmm.
a mid-round draft pick, and
Mm-hmm.
Vancouver took what, like 5 million, 5.1 million of his salary, which I think is his whole salary.
Yeah. I mean, why not? They need somebody to push people around up there, and I think he did a pretty good job of that in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So yeah, good for them. And obviously Edmonton needs to make changes, and to do that, you've got to free up space, and that was a great opening to make. So yeah, good for everybody, I suppose.
Yep, that makes sense. What about earlier this week, late last week? Our old buddy Joe Valeno, Joey V, leaving Chicago and heading to Seattle Kraken.
I didn't even remember that he wasn't on the team anymore. So I guess,
That was it was a brief stint
oh
in
geez.
Chicago. So, and what did Chicago get? Burakovsky, I
Oh,
believe.
okay.
So
Well,
it was
I
pretty
mean,
even trade.
eh,
Yeah. I hope Joey likes it out in Seattle though, because I love the Kraken. They've got a good energy, good vibes.
sure. I hope everyone's thrilled.
Yes.
Can't get any
It,
worse in Chicago, I guess. So
Tell us how you really feel. No,
I don't know.
I know, I know. Hopefully next year's better for them, but
I don't
hopefully
know
next
if
year
I
is
hope
better for
that.
us
I know. I'm
because
not worried about anybody else right
yeah,
now.
yeah, we just got to worry about ourselves. And we're starting off strong
Well,
because this
speaking of
week,
us,
yeah,
yay, we have
we
been around for 100 years.
just a casual 100 years,
Mhm.
baby, 1926.
And we have a fancy logo for the year. That's all we've really seen so far, and some
Yes.
fun events announced. But I do enjoy the logo that they created. That winged wheel that they used is, obviously a fantastic logo. So nice to see it for a while.
Yeah, it's really so beautiful, so iconic. And the fact that they actually put it as the second zero in 100 was kind of fun. I
Yeah, I
wasn't,
think it
it's not like the Red Wings
clever.
to do something too out of the box. So I was happy with it.
That's why I'm like, are we even gonna have a different jersey? Because we just never do that stuff. So I'm like, I'm just gonna be skeptical until I see it.
Yeah. Well, it's coming. I hope we see it soon.
Okay.
We're going to need one of those. Do you think, just speculating because we know nothing about this, I don't think they've leaked anything, but do you think the jerseys will have just the vintage winged wheel or the 100?
Oh, I don't think they'll use the 100.
No.
We're very keep it simple. It's
Yeah.
never. This was as wild as we got. Oh my God, look at that.
I know. Look,
Oh,
for those listening to audio only, Megan is showcasing today her reverse retro from
2.0.
2.0, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah,
black on red, which pretty sweet. But yeah, I
crazy,
think that was
wild.
got crazy with that one.
And then
But I
Chicago
do
copied our homework. So yeah.
I know got a little confusing with the red and black, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, so I'm excited to see it, but at
Hmm.
least even if we don't get the 100 on the jerseys, I think starting today, if not later this week, you can actually at the team store start to pick up the 100 logo branded merchandise.
I
And
imagine that 100 logo is probably going to be a patch. That's what I would imagine.
oh, good call. I
Hmm.
bet you're right. That makes a ton of sense,
And they're
but it
really
looks great.
emphasizing like the I don't know what colors the best, the off-white sort of stitched letters. So I'm imagining that will probably come into play too because it's a big part of the marketing of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see what we do.
Yes, I'm excited. And hopefully we can attend all the cool events coming up because I think the big one on November 8th is happening at the Fox Theater, which I love. It's so beautiful.
So
So
fun.
we'll start outfit planning.
Of course. Need a mood board now.
We might even need some new second string accessories for the occasion.
Oh, oh, I wonder if they would make us something special, like a
Joe and Zach,
clutch.
if you're watching,
Joe, Zach, I need a clutch.
a little clutch for Red Wings 100 Centennial. We'd happily procure them.
Oh yeah, I love this idea.
Love it. Great minds thought of that live.
Uh,
All right. On that note, would you like to introduce the
or I
second
don't
period?
know. It's the goalie episode. You don't want to
Oh,
introduce it?
you don't want to steal it from me.
I
You're the best
don't.
friend ever a girl could ask for. Okay, here we go, guys. I will stop rambling so we can cut to Tendy Talk with Joe and Zach. Stay tuned for
Yay,
period two.
let's go.
Welcome to the second period. If you were here with us for the last episode, we had Second String Leather Company join us. You may recognize Zach and Joe. And we are so excited. They agreed to stay for what are we calling it? Locker room talk, overtime. I don't know, but they're still hanging because we just have so much to talk about. So thanks to our listeners for coming back. And mostly thanks to you guys for letting us monopolize your evening because there is just two of our favorite topics fantastic handmade leather goods and goaltending.
Love it.
How are you guys?
Doing well. Great.
You been watching playoffs?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. By the time this episode airs, we will know who the Stanley Cup champion is, which is wild to say. But today I am, when we're recording this, because I'm still pulling for the cane. So I have my little Pyotr Kochekov on. Megan and I both collect Pyotr. He played with Alex Lyon in the Chicago Wolves the year that they won the Calder Cup. So I have always loved him since then. But you love him because who's he friends with?
Well, his
Evgeny
best
Svechnikov,
friend,
right?
yes.
Oh, Andrei Svechnikov.
Yeah.
His Andrei.
Best friend is my favorite player's brother. I just want to make like the string go crazy. Like who? What? Yeah.
So and when he joined the Canes, didn't Andre have to like translate everything for him?
Yes.
It was kind of fun.
It's the cutest content you'll ever
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah, look that up on YouTube. That's a fun one. But we always love to set up our backdrops to give a nod to our guests. Megan has, believe it or not, you wouldn't know from my setup here, but far more jerseys than I have. They just take up more of her home. So what do you have today?
Today I've got a little Grand Rapids.
Mhm.
It is Evgeny Svechnikov, and then this one that you can't see is Wade Megan.
Oh, Wade Megan for Megan. And that's a tie-in because Second String Leather Company is based out of Grand Rapids, Michigan. So we love supporting a local business not far from us. I would say you're not even a small business now because we travel all over for away games and like you're known in the hockey world. You're established. So we still love to support you, even though you're big. And then I have Jake Ottinger because Happy World Otter Day. Did you know that today is World Otter Day?
Did not know
I
that.
didn't. I didn't, but we're celebrating otter. And then Jeremy Swayman, because how can we have a goalie episode and not talk about that performance that helped lead Team USA to a gold medal after 92 years? Pretty incredible.
Who's counting?
Yeah, at that rate. But have you guys, well, at this hour of the evening, we probably shouldn't try. But were you able to see any of the world's games?
Yes. Yep.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty cool to see how like Fleury went across to play, Crosby went across.
Yeah.
Like those are like that's obviously, guys that are in that stage of their NHL career don't have to necessarily do that. But I think to like give back or like, like lead to like maybe mentor some of the younger guys that are coming up. I mean, 'cause if you're, I mean, like I think like Celebrini was there. I mean, those are like memories for those young guys that are going to have for their whole career. But just being around those types of players, iconic. And then I don't know if that would be Fleury's last professional hockey that he would play outside of when he played for the the Minnesota Wild. So they're saying that may be there's some like hidden I think tweets that his agent put out because I think he was like tweeting out that it may not be the end of his playing career. So maybe he'll wear a winged wheel next year. That'd be pretty sweet. Have Fleury in Detroit.
Oh my God.
Joe, just don't tease us like that.
Don't make her cry.
In the last episode, I cried twice. Joe made me cry twice. So our goal is no tears this time around. No, you said Macklin was there. It was really cute. He apparently first time he got to skate with Sidney Crosby on the line was calling him Mr. Crosby until Crosby said, "It's Sid, man, it's Sid." But that's really sweet. He was raised well. And then his bestie, Will Smith, playing for Team Canada. Very cool. But one question we sent over to you guys I thought was kind of fun if you were watching any of the behind the scenes interviews. I, of course, was loving the Jeremy Swayman, Joey Decord goalie tandem. And they were interviewed and Joey was asking Jeremy all about, the hugs with Linus, Olmark, and what his traditions are with Corpusalo now. And he said, it's really interesting, Decord. Goalies have this incredibly weird dynamic that doesn't exist anywhere else in sports. Because if you're on a tandem or even like a starter and a backup, you truly want each other to succeed. And you care, and you develop a friendship. If you're a good team, you develop a strong friendship. But you are competing for the crease and you want to play. You want to play over the other guy. And yet somehow this dynamic makes everybody stronger. So as two goalies who have played since your childhoods, I would love to hear your thoughts on that philosophy. Do you agree? Is it weird? Have you experienced it?
Well, you're a backup goalie, so
he doesn't say too much more, buddy.
Easy.
So you can answer from different perspectives.
I was a way better goalie than Zach, for the record.
Okay.
For the record.
That helps then.
Let's put the pads on next week.
Buddy, that'd be very dangerous. That'd be very.
You don't even know how to put them on.
No, send us some footage for socials, please.
I'm sure.
You do way better. Exactly.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
He plays like in like his like the college like alumni games. I don't do that, but yeah. But going back to your question, I think you have to have a good relationship with your goalie partner, but at the same time, obviously, there's some teams have 3 goalies, even 4 goalies.
Yeah.
Only 1 crease. But I think, from I wouldn't say the olden days, but from like, the 80s and even the early 90s, some of these NHL goalies were playing darn near the whole season. Like Marty Brodeur played 79 or 80 games out of 82 games, or even Grant Fuhr. I just
like
don't
95 or something.
Yeah. I just don't even know if you could actually, your body could physically do that with the travel, the wear and tear. I think it's
the way they play now too. There's no way.
It's so tough. I think you have to have a healthy goalie tandem. So when you get to the playoffs, whether you go with pretty much, I think a lot of teams go to a 1-man system in the playoffs. It's very tough to go to a 2-man system in the playoffs. As much as you maybe had a 2-man system or even a 3-man system during the regular season, I think that once you get to the playoffs, it's got to be like shifted to the main guy, the 1A takes over. But I think during the season, you got to keep your mind fresh, your body fresh. There's a lot that goes into it. There's illnesses, that go, it's just like anything else. There's, these players are with each other every day. So if one person gets the flu, 3 people have the flu. If someone's, it just goes around the locker room. So I think, having a healthy roster, a healthy goalie core, I think it just sort of preserves and like maintains that high level of athleticism for the playoffs. As you got, teams playing right now. I think Edmonton, they started with, I want to say that Stuart Skinner started in maybe round 1 or 2, and then they went to Picard and he got hurt, and now Stuart Skinner's back in there. So you got to have 2 capable goalies to be able to play nowadays. I don't think you can rely on one and put your whole stock of the season into one guy. I think that's a very probably mismanaged roster if you do design it that way. So I think you have a lot of teams that have 2 capable 1A, 1B goalies that, maybe there's like a 60-40 split or like a certain, maybe it's not 50-50, but it's a healthy divide with games during the regular season. So they're both healthy when the cards are on the table for the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being Detroit Red Wings fans, we've spent the last 2 seasons with 3 NHL goaltenders on the roster, and we got so much flack for that across the NHL, commentary. But if we hadn't, we would have been done multiple times during the season because we constantly had injuries. So I'm now of the camp, if you need 3 NHL ready goalies, even if one's playing in the AHL. But who knows what will happen? Detroit's kind of a anomaly, I think,
it's even tough because, you even had Jack Campbell that was in the American League, and, he's an NHL goalie. He obviously played for some pretty high profile teams. He played for Toronto, played for Edmonton, played for Dallas. Like, those are high profile teams. And I think it's a mental grind as well, going through a whole season. So Detroit had some unique goalie situations over the last couple of years. And I think it's very difficult to put a lot of the blame on the goaltending when there's other facets of the roster that are not as strong in front of them. Like, they're a suspect decor. So, like a lot of players, they're almost receiving some pretty high quality shots in certain areas of the ice that maybe other teams don't give up as much. So it's like, well, how can this goalie be, successful over here, but when he comes to Detroit, he's not as good? Well, I think a lot of it also has to go back to the scoring chances in those certain areas on the ice that just make it so difficult for a goalie, no matter what level they play at. It's pretty tough when you give a player of the NHL caliber a grade A scoring chance. They're probably going to score after, 2 or 3 opportunities. The one's going to find the back of the net, no matter who's in the net.
Yeah, well said. So I mentioned you both have been goaltending since childhood, which is unique because you both started in the position relatively early, but you clearly know you have had so much more experience. So let us tell our listeners, did you coach? Did you train? What's your recent background?
Like we said before, I started when I was 8, played all the way up through high school and college, a little bit of juniors in between those two as well. And then uh, I kind of had a unconventional path. I actually went back to college, and I was already married, and had a life, and went back to college and played to basically play hockey again because I missed it. So
A life and a wife.
yes, exactly.
Very
That's
patient.
when we rekindled our friendship. And
Okay.
so, but yeah, so once that was done, ended up, we had our first baby, and we're like, I'm not playing hockey anymore. Like, I need to
Yeah.
be a dad and, provide. So, and that's when got into goalie coaching. So yeah, I goalie coach alongside Joe. I'm the goalie
Okay.
coach for Hope College, and
Nice.
the goalie director for Grand Valley Youth Association for the Stars. So that's relatively new for me on that one. But yeah, I've been with Hope College since 2017. And we've won 4 national championships.
Woo!
So
Round of applause.
yes.
That's awesome.
Come on now.
No, this is your moment. You're the stars of the
won this
podcast
past year too,
episode.
so
Yeah,
you
yep,
celebrate that.
yep. So yeah, it's been good, and the kids
Yeah.
absolutely love it. Like, they literally have the life I would have absolutely loved to have, like, as a kid growing up. Living
sure.
at the rink. Like, these kids are just on cloud nine. So
That's so fun. So, Joe, what about you? You mentioned you have a business partner who's still very much in the training world
Mhm.
as well. So, how are you still involved from that aspect?
So I stopped playing organized hockey after college in 2002 when I graduated college, and we started a goalie school out of Detroit called Bandits Goalie School. So my business partner for some other companies that I have is Stan Matwiv. So he's the current goalie coach for the Windsor Spitfires in the OHL. He also was the goalie coach
Okay.
at Flint Firebirds in the OHL for a few years, University of Michigan, NCAA hockey for 11 years. But Bandits has been since 1999, actually. We've had Bandits Goalie School. So he's the owner and director of it. I've been lucky enough to sort of like learn along the way through Stan and like working with a lot of the NHL goalies that we, have come through our stable over the years. And honestly, the best part about goalie coaching, honestly, is like mentoring the kids. I was actually just talking to a goalie today who was a former student of Bandits who's now starting to goalie coach in Ohio. And he's like, how'd you get involved in it? Why did you stay involved with it for so long? Because I've been goalie coaching since I was 15 years old, and I'm almost 50 now, believe it or not. So for me, it's I love mentoring the kids, whether it's the younger kids or even my college guys that I work with. So Zach is at Hope, and I'm at Kelvin University, which is another college here in town. And that's sort of the fun part about it, is just being able to mentor and sort of like lead these guys down the right path, whether they're a college athlete, a professional athlete, or just a young, 14-year-old boy or girl that is just trying to navigate athletics and life. And, they're just learning as they go. So like being sort of like a trusted figure outside of a mom or dad, because sometimes, I always tell people, like, you don't know how their family life is away from the arena. Like, maybe being at the ice rink, maybe their safe spot, or like this is their home. This is like they sort of like develop their identity as an individual. So like helping them along the way, like, and some days are going to be good, some days are going to be bad for these people, like, whether it's, getting cut from a team, or hey, we're bringing in another goalie, you're going to be the second or third string goalie, or we're just going to simply cut you from the organization. Like, there's some conversations that are tough to have with these individuals. I think, like, Zach and I, like, you know, in our first conversation, in our first episode with you, we talked about like why him and I went into, you know, business together, and we're sort of like the same people. You know, you're sort of
Just
like
younger.
He's just younger. I'm better looking, but
I'm taller.
no, you're not. We're like 5'5" on a good day. We're
Yeah.
both like
we'll be able to confirm when you send us the video of you two in your
in the goalie equipment.
in your goalie off.
People actually get us confused. We're like, is that your brother? I'm like, no, by no means that.
No, he's 18.
No. So it's like I just look at like I think being a mentor to some of these kids is honestly why I keep doing it. It's pretty so Zach pretty much like his two boys play hockey. He also has a daughter. But I have two girls and they do not play hockey. They're complete opposite. They don't even like being cold.
I don't like being cold either, but I chose sport for that.
But you know, my wife's a school teacher, and you know, so she's in education, and I feel like I'm in education for athletics, to be honest with you. That's sort of the best way to look at it. But I enjoy it. It's something that I truly am grateful to have an opportunity to like coach sort of all different levels. And I'm sort of like on my way, you know, sort of, I wouldn't say way out of coaching, but like more gravitating toward like my college guys and being able to work at the university. And that's pretty special to me. So I've done the college coaching for 22 years now in Grand Rapids, coaching college hockey. And I too have won 4 national championships. So Zach, he's won 4.
You also get a round of applause.
So we've been blessed to have some pretty good teams over the years, but
now Calvin and Hope are a like Michigan State over here.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I thought so. That's
they might follow up with us next year. Like, well, we folded the company
off against each other.
We folded the company. The company's disbanded because of our hockey rival.
Went up in flames right there at center ice.
No, catch the first episode, listeners. Second String Leather Company is going nowhere.
Exactly.
You're going everywhere. You're not going away, is what I'm trying to say. It is
even with, like,
good things in your future.
Like I never had a goalie coach growing up, so that is a huge reason why I absolutely love doing what I do, just because I can give back to these kids that I never had. So that's a huge reason why I do the goalie coaching alongside this guy.
Maybe through your impressive networks, you will be connected to the new Red Wings goalie coach, because I don't think they have landed on somebody yet.
No,
they haven't announced it.
No, I don't know if they've gotten rid of the Grand Rapids guy. I think he may be staying in place. I think the Red Wings maybe he was let go a few weeks ago. So I don't know. I mean, there's, you know, going back to Detroit, there's a lot of question marks. They're going to have some work to do this off season to try to rebuild that team. And I don't know if it's, you know, if at some point Mr. Yzerman's going to be put on the hot seat, because I like to say this clock is ticking, you know, to Detroit. Like, you have every team in Detroit has come back around, whether it's the Pistons, you know, the Lions, the Tigers, all these teams are now starting to become well respected again, I guess, in their sports field. But Detroit for almost a decade they've been sort of stale. And I think Steve Yzerman's been at the helm now for 7 years. So it's been a while.
Maybe more, 7, I believe.
Yeah, so it's been a minute. So I you know, Detroit's a hot spot, original 6 team. It's like, you know, the media frenzy. I think they're going to get a little impatient. So he's going to have a good offseason. If not, there's going to be some question marks come next season, especially if they don't make the playoffs.
Yes,
I think they actually went down in points this year. They went down in goals. There was some question marks to be had about how the team was put together, who they let go in the leading up to the season. They let some key pieces go defensively. Like, that hurt them. It really did. And it's tough to go out and find like Band-Aid players nowadays. Like, you need to have players that are like in the system, whether they come from Grand Rapids, because Grand Rapids has great players that come through the ranks to like develop and grow within the organization. I think those guys deserve a shot at the big club, because they've put their sweat equity in Grand Rapids. I think it's time to, like, you know, give those guys a shot to move up the chain a little bit. So we'll see how the new season goes, because I think there's going to be some question marks, like I said, if things don't change.
You could tell in the end of season wrap
Yeah, that was
presser.
heated.
It was a lot more intense than I ever remember one of those being. So, but important question. So you're
Absolutely.
right. Speaking of Red Wings and goalie coaches, Megan and I went to a really fun event just about a week or two ago. And we got to meet one of the Red Wings trainers, a young guy, really tons of energy, super cool. Took us through like the day in the life and how each training regimen is so personalized and so specific. The goalie piece, though, was fascinating. And I don't think he worked directly with the goaltender. So I wanted to ask you two, um, how are goaltenders so freaking flexible? How does Bobrovsky do the splits, second position center splits? And like, what are some of the exercises they do to work on that, like, flexibility while also mental stability and balance in trying to stay level headed while you have an entire arena chanting your last name at you? Like, can you explain some of those things we did not get to ask the trainer?
Athlete stretcher.
I think stretching's like a massive piece of the game, because just because you play the position doesn't mean you're, flexible. So I think it's no different than, a 9 to 5 job. These athletes are probably stretching an hour to 2 hours a day, whether it's, yoga or doing Pilates or just doing their own stretches with, like a strength and conditioning coach. I think it's such a crucial part of the game, not just for the on ice, but even like the injury prevention as well. Because if you're not, sort of flexible in certain positions, or being able to move out of positions as a goaltender, you're definitely going to injure your body, or it's going to be a nagging injury that you can't shake. And, I know like a groin injury where, a lot of goalie like Peter Mrazek, obviously he was injured toward the end of the season when he got traded to Detroit. Like it's not like these athletes go into the season wanting to get injured. It's just a part of the game. Injury prevention is so difficult to manage because, at my college, my goalie had a high ankle sprain this year. So he was out for, 3.5, 4 months with a high ankle sprain. It's one of those injuries that, man, he actually like got his skate caught in a rut while he was moving, and he like rolled over his ankle. And 4 months later, that was his first injury ever in his hockey career, and he's a 21-year-old athlete. So it's so difficult to maneuver when it comes to like flexibility. Like I think you really have to put your time and energy into it, like off the ice, to sort of like perfect that.
I think time for sure, just because like it's not something that, hey, I need to be able to do the splits in a month or anything like that. It's like it's such a slow progression of like continuously stretching those muscles all the time, like at least every day, multiple times a day, to be able to do what you can do. So
yeah, that's fascinating. Megan's really big into bar. I did Pilates and grew up as a dancer. And I mean, for years, I still can't do the second position splits. And I'm watching the playoffs right now. Like, these goalies are superhuman.
Bobrovsky is just like, he's like a whole world. I mean, he's in a class of his own. It's crazy.
But like when you look at him from like when he was with Philly, like he is nothing like what he is now.
Yeah.
Like
how
much he's grown within his game and how he plays, his style and all that it's night and day.
It's
different.
Crazy. It's almost like scary. It's scary to watch, because man, like he's unbeatable. Like during that Toronto series, man, you're not going to score on this guy. Like he's just that good.
I don't know. Again, it's a big thing with the mental side of it too. But I honestly think of goaltending as a sport within the sport of hockey. Like it's the way that goalies train, the way they think, the way they move, everything it's totally different than a center or a defenseman. So
I'm glad that was a perfect segue, Zach, because the other thing that you always hear goaltenders get asked about on podcasts and in interviews are, do you think goalies are really weird? Is that, and so I'm going to flip that a little bit, because I think goalies are special and not necessarily weird, because you nailed it. It is, I love that you're laughing. It's special in the best way.
Yeah.
You're part of a team. You are a critical part of a team. Like
Absolutely.
literally the team cannot play if you don't show up. You win or lose games, but you're also on an island. So like you're responsible for being on the ice for 60 minutes and being this huge part of the team, but also like in playing your own game mentally, physically. And I don't how many other players on the team get their name chanted in the playoffs by an entire sold out NHL arena? Does that mess with you? Like what
I
do
think
you
It's like what's that baseball movie with Kevin Costner? He's like
for love of the game.
Yes,
Yeah.
when he's like
Clear the mechanism,
then everything just goes
Oh.
silent. You know, that's kind of the mentality you have to have as a goalie. Is like you cannot allow anything into your ears at all. You know, and just kind of stay in your lane, but also stay engaged in the game too. Like as a goalie, I'll say it like, hey, they say goalies are weird. I talk to myself when I'm in the crease, or I need to go for my laps. I need to go and touch the red line on the boards every time I go and skate. That's like
Fleury when he like pets the post when it goes up.
He thanks them in French and English because he doesn't know where the steel came from.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know where it came from. So
Megan, what was the meme you sent me?
I was gonna say, as a more casual goaltending fan, I actually really enjoy the quirkiness of goalies. And like some of my favorite things, I love the splits for a different reason. Like I just crack up at Elvis Merzlikins in warmups. It's like, oh, okay, you can get up at some point. He's just in the splits the whole time. And then someone like, Jonas Gustafsson, who I swear would take his helmet off and just an entire water bottle over his whole head. So like I just love like the funny, quirky goalie things. So that's what I was gonna ask. Like, what are some funny, quirky goalie things you've seen?
Yeah, it's like a superstition thing. Like, when I touch the boards or whatever that may be. I mean, I have to shower before every game. Like at the rink, I go take a shower and then I get ready. That's just
gets you in the zone.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense because it's like a level.
It turns on my game mode. Like, all right, this is a fresh start. So
I think goalies are routine.
Yeah,
they're very routine. I mean, I know players are routine, but goalies specifically, I think they may have more superstitions than maybe a player does, just because they're so like they're on their own island. They're a team within a team. I also think that they're just very like from a confidence standpoint, like your team is built around your goalie. Like I think when you have your team, like we got Bob and net tonight. We're winning this game. Like the confidence that these teams have right now, whether it's, Ottinger or whether it's Bobrovsky, even when you look at like Stuart Skinner and Picard, like those are two guys that have like gone back and forth in the playoffs that are like, Stuart Skinner played, then he got injured, he got pulled, then Picard played. He
got pulled.
Then Stuart Skinner goes back in, he's playing well. It's like the mindset of these guys, you got to be like on a drop of a hat, be ready to go in because literally you're playing for your season right now. So the mindset of these guys it's very unique by all means.
Who was it? Was it Scott Darling that in Chicago when he said, "Hey, you're going in," because Crawford was hurt, so he went to the bathroom and threw up. They threw up and then came out and played. I think they won that game.
Yeah,
too.
Well, I hope he won after all that trauma. Yeah. Megan and I went to Mullet Arena in Arizona to see the very last Red Wings Coyotes game first and last maybe, but we invested in good seats because we wanted I always like to sit right on the goal line so I can like make eye contact with my goalie, but we forgot, I did. It's only like a 5,000 person arena, so every seat's pretty good, but we're front row for this whole thing, and our section puck goes in, Alex lines the net. The whole section behind me starts cheering or chanting, "Hey, goalie, it's all your fault. It's all your fault." And I was so upset. Like, he's a very nice man. And actually, did you see our entire defensive breakdown? Actually, he was his fault at all.
Start yelling at the decor.
The last line of defense, and Megan's like pulling my jersey down. "Sit down, sit down. It's just a chant." What I asked him about that later on, he's like, I didn't even, we don't even pay attention. You close your ears, but I was so upset. So I'm glad to know that you can just close your ears to that. Because playoffs, Jake Ottinger last night, not to date ourselves, because this will be Stanley Cup champions will be announced by the time this airs, but they were cheering in Edmonton, backup, U.S. backup, U.S. backup.
Yeah.
So mean.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Funny.
So mean.
Can't we
would
have
fuel
fun?
my fire for sure.
Yeah. I just
Megan's
think
a little more cynical. She's like, that's funny.
I saw a piece about Jordan Binnington and when the Jets knocked off the Blues, maybe like a month ago.
Mhm.
I think it was in overtime when they knocked him off in Game
That
7.
was a wild game.
He just because he's been a goalie that sort of had wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's really gritty. I mean, he'll throw down, he'll fight.
Yeah.
But when he scored that goal, you could see him sort of look up into the stands and sort of taking it all in, almost like a mental snapshot of everything. Because it's, at the end of the day, they're athletes, but they're still humans. They have this body armor on. They're still, they still go through emotional, they still even though they may say they don't hear that, it's going through your mind. I mean, they're obviously trying their darndest to block it out, but when you got 25,000 or 20,000 people yelling at you, you're gonna at some point it's gonna break your concentration. You're gonna hear it. I think it's almost it's you capture that memory and you sort of use it as motivation. You use it as fuel for your off season. It's just something that this sits with them because a guy like Biddington goes to the Four Nations and they won the Team Canada wins the Four Nations Cup over in that January.
Brings me to a video that I saw a couple weeks ago of Lundqvist when he got scored on against the Kings in the playoffs or in the Stanley Cup there after was obviously an overtime.
He got knocked out
and literally it went in and he just laid there. And I could just tell by the body language of just ultimate defeat, oh my gosh, deflated him, just the process that he had to go through just to get off the ice, off of his butt, it's
it's
so
a lot
much pressure.
Even the player last week for the Winnipeg Jets, I think Scheifele, his father passed away that morning.
And
he still played that game.
He scored the only goal.
He scored the only goal, but he also took the penalty.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, so he was in the box during the overtime when they scored the goal. I mean, that's a lot to unpack right there. I mean, oh my gosh,
I think I work in marketing, and if I lost, a big deal for one of my clients and got up and left the office and everyone was chanting, "Hey, Devon, it's all your fault." It's I might just cry and quit. I can't. So goaltenders are, you said it. I think you said it, Joe. They wear an armor, and I hope that with all of the training and the medical attention that you get in professional goaltending, that there's also mental health opportunities because gosh, it takes a very special person, which is why I say you're not weird, you're special and pretty damn cool.
I think it even goes back to the equipment, right? That's their body armor with the custom graphics and the cool designs. The paint job may tell a story. It's got a theme to it, whether it's NHL team based or their personality based. I just thought back in the, in the 90s and early 2000s, the goalies had a Belfour, Patrick Waugh, Curtis Joseph, those guys had gear and their helmets were synonymous to their personality. Yeah. Now the goalies sort of go through gear and helmets and they change it a lot throughout the course of the year. I thought that the goalie equipment back in at least when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, it just had a little bit more iconic feel to it because you could resonate with a Curtis Joseph when he played for the St. Louis Blues, his gear and his style, or a Patrick Waugh when he played for the Montreal Canadiens. Those are some iconic images of goalies, or even Felix Potvin for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those are legendary. And it's
yes.
I just think that it's truly a body armor. Even the guys nowadays, their gear's all, colored up and graphics, and it just gives them a sense of that body armor that's whether it protects their personality or it's confidence for themselves or their team. It's just it resonates. It's outside of just being like, they're quirky and weird. I think it's like they're the team. Like I think a lot of players are like the goal. I mean, obviously every team has a captain, but the goalie is also synonymous with that team, especially if you're the starting goalie.
Yes. Very well said. I grew up with a brother who played AAA hockey and was always at an ice arena. My dad was a coach, so I used to not want to sit with the parents, but there wasn't a lot of brothers and sisters my age, so I would just kind of hang out and sit at the edge of the bleachers right on the goal line and watch the goalies. And being a dancer, like really impressed by their flexibility, their skill, their determination. And I think that's why I fell in love with like goaltending and thought if I ever played, that's what I would be. I would be a goalie, but I don't, and I'm terrible. So I don't. But I have mad respect for you guys and appreciate the analogy to the armor because it certainly takes a lot of toughness, I think, to succeed mentally and physically. And on that note, there's some big goaltenders in the NHL right now. It seems like the names you just mentioned, those legends that we all grew up watching, were a little bit shorter than they are nowadays. So I don't even see many goaltenders in the NHL under 6'1", 6'2". How do you think that has changed the game? And how do you balance size and agility?
I almost feel like the NHL took the youth hockey approach of like, oh, put the biggest kid in net, he takes up the most space, you know? But like when it comes down to it, it's like, yeah, you might get lucky. The puck might hit you, you know? I mean, obviously you cover up more space, it's bound to hit you. But being at that height and, you know, with the way they play nowadays, like we were talking about with like a Thatcher Demko, like with the hips and stuff like that, with RVH into the post, and like that hurts my hips, and I'm 5'6", and like doing that and trying to get to your shoulder to your post, like my hip wants to blow out. I can't imagine somebody that's an entire foot taller than me trying to get their body to the post. Like, you know, it's scary.
They've actually done studies on the RVH. They've actually had like doctors, like joint specialists, look at like that type of mechanical movement with your body, and the human body is not supposed to be in that position, like mechanically with the bones. That's why there's so many hip issues and like knee issues, because of like how that body is integrated to the post. Your body is not meant to like sit like that and put all your basically upper body weight leaning onto your hip. It's really not meant to be like that. So it's just that constant grinding. Now that they've like fast forwarded, they're like, well, yeah, of course you're going to have labrum surgery in your hip. You've worn out your hip socket. It's completely like flat. So that's where they, you know, with the labrum surgery, they go in and they like grind out in your hip socket to make your hip joints sort of like sit correctly. It's a very tedious surgery and it takes months to recover, but a lot of it's from that type of like post play. But even going back to the height of the goalies, I think, you know, going the other way with like some of the smaller goalies that are in the NHL, like UC Saros, Dustin Wolf.
Yeah.
Those are guys that are probably 5'10", 5'9" on a good day.
Okay.
And the speed.
They round up on their hockey cards.
Maybe
know
5'11",
better.
5'11". No way.
But they're
no way. Dustin Wolf is not over 6 foot. You look it up.
Yeah.
To see those, because we've actually saw UC Saros live in person, and it was like incredible, like the speed and like the agility of like a goalie that's under that size and that frame, like just unbelievable footwork. It's truly incredible.
Yeah, he's incredible.
But to, you know, I don't.
Dustin Wolf is 6 foot. Saros is 5'11".
Which means they're really
exactly 2 inches shorter, 100%. I just think for smaller goalies, a lot of it has to do with like, you know, at our goalie school, we work on like crease movement, foot speed, like being able to get out of certain save selections. Like it doesn't matter if you're 6'6" or 5'6", if you can't move, you're a sitting duck no matter what. I mean, we have some goalies that come to our school that are almost 7 feet. I mean, I think the one goalie's 6'9", 6'10". He's a massive goalie, probably one of the tallest goalies for NCAA. And, you know, over the time, like, especially when he was younger, like your body has got to grow with your bones. It's almost like they have to catch up because your body's growing, your bones aren't like fully developed, and you're almost like clumsy a little bit. And it's
kind of like Gumby.
Yeah, it's tough, especially when you're like 14 to 16 years old. Even as you grow into like, like later in your teenage years, your body is still growing and developing. So I get it when you're like, wow, this goalie is 6'5". He's so big, but can he move? I mean, if he's 5'8", 5'9", but man, he's so fast. He's so aggressive. He can, like an Alec Lyons, he's smaller in size, but he's so explosive. Like he's so dynamic. Like those are like even like a Mike Vernon, like, Zach's favorite goalie, like smaller in stature, but so electric, like so just, and that was a different style of hockey back then too.
Totally different.
Yeah.
But like when you are smaller, like you have to, like I'm 5'6", I have to figure out how to play like I'm 6'5".
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Quickness, my depth control, and
being
like
patient.
being on angle, like, being spot on with that, taking a little risk here and there. So it's, and obviously hockey IQ of like kind of understanding what's going to happen. As a goalie, you can see that you're like a quarterback. You can see the play develop and how it's going to pan out. So
when Hank Lundqvist gets the opportunity to analyze plays during intermission and actually talk about like leg alignment and angles of the skates against the post, and you start to realize, I mean, you guys live and breathe this, but people like me who are just fans start to realize there's a science behind it. And like you said, Zach, that hockey IQ, you have to have that regardless of your physique and all the things. So anyway, thanks for going deep down that rabbit hole I've been wondering about. Now, for our listeners who are just joining us for this episode, we have been talking to Zach and Joe for, dare I say, hours. Please don't run away. So
we're here.
We need to let you go to sleep because it's very late
talking
at night.
Hockey. This is the best spot. Talking hockey.
No one's actually dozed off yet, which is great, but we really should let you get to your family. So I have one more kind of fun question, and Megan, interrupt me if there's anything else you think we've forgotten, but we talked about it a lot. I'm just curious because it's come up organically, but the goalies in the NHL right now that you are most excited to be watching, who are you excited to see come up? Any expectations for next season, or just what gets you excited as fans right now?
Yeah, I don't really have a favorite NHL team. I just love watching the goalies.
You do rag on I'm a big Red Wings fan. He always rags on.
Yeah, I do.
He doesn't have a specific team, but man, I love myself and our web designer. Like him and I are big Red Wings guys, and this guy
I'll literally have like 50 text messages like, them just going, oh my gosh, did you see this? Oh,
during a Red Wings,
terrible. Like, dude, just get off the phone.
He's so funny.
But I mean, it is very interesting to see where Kosa will land in the tandem, whether that's in Grand Rapids or Detroit. I really hope Fleury comes back some way. I don't know.
Wearing red pads. Wearing red pads.
I might be a Wings fan again.
Okay.
Well, if Kosa comes up, you will be.
Yeah, because you met Meyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just chatted with him. You got to support him now.
In the coffee aisle.
He's trying to find a Vasilevsky wallet from you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Megan and I couldn't agree more. We talk about the prospects and the guys coming up from GR, and it's like, just give him a chance. Like, just put him in already. What are we waiting for?
The Wings even have Trey Augustine, who's at Michigan State. He's another... he's a little bit smaller in size, plays a little bit different style than Kosa, but man, he's electric. I mean, he played for Team USA.
But again, like you don't know until you get a chance, and when you do get those chances, you have to steal them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget. So I was lucky enough to be on the phone with Stan and Thatcher Demko, and this was like during the bubble. Thatcher was going back and forth with Vancouver, like he was more so the backup goalie. I can't remember who. Maybe it was Eddie Lack was the starting goalie at the time, and I don't know if he
Schneider.
Maybe it was Corey Schneider, Eddie Lack. Someone was ahead of him in the depth chart, and in I think it was Game 6, he got the start. And all I remember Thatcher saying is all I wanted was a chance. I just needed my chance to show them I could play on this stage, even though it was in the bubble, like I can just play.
Yeah.
And I think they won game 6. Like he had like 50 some saves, and then they lost in game 7. He had another 40 some save night, and he just put back-to-back performances together. And that's all it took to get him his start with Vancouver. Like that was what he needed to like propel.
That put his name on the map.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, and all he said was, I just wanted a chance. I just needed my opportunity. Oh. And that was it. That was it. Like to hear someone of, that stature, like trying to break it into the league, no different than a Kosa, like no different than probably like, a Jimmy Howard or Peter Mrazek as they were working their way up the, even in, they were in Grand Rapids before they moved up. Cause I think they won the Calder Cup with both Howard and with Mrazek during their time in GR.
I don't know. I know Howard was down there for a long time.
And then those were like, realistically, I mean, people forget Jimmy Howard was with the Red Wings his whole career. Started in Grand Rapids. He was like, truly,
that's true.
He was one of, I would love to know like another goalie that has been with a program from start to finish.
Yeah.
Because he went the whole haul all the way through from Grand Rapids, being drafted, played, I don't know, over a decade in Detroit. I think he played like 14 years or 30. I mean, it was a pretty long time.
And that's extra rare for goaltenders, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They get shuffled around pretty fast nowadays. And it's tough. I mean, it's a business at the end of the day, but going back to like some of the goalies that are out there right now for like kids to watch, like, I mean, how can you not be like in awe of like a Vasilevsky, a Bobrovsky, an Ottinger, Hellebuck? Like these guys are world-class goalies that are, playing a large amount of hockey games, carrying a lot of minutes, but they're also fun to watch because they all play sort of a different style. Like Hellebuck is obviously 180 to Bobrovsky, and then you watch like a Stuart Skinner and you watch Jake Ottinger, like completely two different goalies, but
different.
At the end of the day, they're goalies. They're stopping the puck, like no different than like a Dominik Hasek that, you really can't teach what Hasek, how he played. No. I don't think he would
never be another.
There'll never be another Hasek. He was so unique in how he played, but no, there was still like a competitor. He was fierce on tracking pucks, playing the puck, although a little quirky. Like, obviously has like their own personalities, but I think that's what makes them sort of unique and special, and what makes the position special. And it sort of goes back to why like our leather wallets, like we use the goalie equipment and people resonate with the goalies, no matter if you're a player or a forward or a coach or just a general hockey fan. Like everyone knows the goalie. Like the goalie is synonymous with the team, no different than like there's Dylan Larkin and everyone knows like, oh, well, there's obviously Alec Lyon. There's like the other goalies that are like Cam Talbot. There are other goalies within the program that people know that they associate with the team. So it's in our blood, goaltending. It's our passion, and it's fun to be a part of the goalie world on a daily basis.
Well, we're so glad you took your passion and turned it into beautiful art that is functional and fabulous and all the things. So if you're watching on YouTube, Megan and I have so many examples of our favorite. These are my 2 new ones of our
thank
second
you for
string.
The support. I mean, it's truly amazing to be honest with you, like in your notes, like you talked about like why you started it, but obviously you guys are passionate about what you're doing, and obviously becoming family in the near future with, I think your brother is marrying Megan. So that's
it's pretty wild. Again,
it's I think, when you have something special that, you guys can, it's hockey. It's, it brings you together. It's a fun way to, whether it's passing the time, going to a game or traveling around the United States, going to different arenas, it's creating memories at the end of the day. I think that's truly special.
Yes. And we are together every day now, doing podcasting, family functions, or traveling to an away game. But
I love it.
We wouldn't have it any other way. So we will follow your story because we can look to you to say, look, they've survived all these years and still love each other, Megan. There's hope for us. No, you guys are great. We definitely will look to purchase a new product or two so we don't fight over it when you launch your new packaging so that we can open it up on
Okay.
the podcast because that will be tons of fun and an excuse for me to buy something else. My husband can't yell at me. I promised on the pod that I was going to get yet another wallet.
Promises were made.
Promises.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything I know in the first episode, which I hope all of our listeners today will go back and check out, I believe it's episode number 8. So look for episode 8 to learn all about the origin story of Second String Leather Company and why their products are so unique, special, giftable, collectible, and part of hockey history. But we had to talk more about goaltending because I would be remiss to, not take this opportunity to pick your brain. So we want to thank you for spending far too much time of your time with us.
Hey.
Please apologize to your families. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you for having us.
You.
Thanks, guys. Welcome to the third period of Hockey Style with Devon and Megan. One of my favorite episodes thus far. I know, shocking. We got to talk all about goaltending and I loved it. Thank you, Megan, for humoring me and letting me take the lead because I had a lot of deep questions that I just have always wanted to ask people who are so involved with goaltending, and I'm thrilled. I learned a lot.
From this point forward, I shall refer to myself as a casual goaltending fan.
That was a great line. But my favorite is still when people ask if you're a hockey fan and you say, I'm above average.
A little above average, probably.
I'm a casual goalie fan. That was cute. Do you have any fun goalie stories you didn't get to share?
We didn't talk about Mr. Kochekov yet. He's definitely a favorite goalie, and I love a video. I couldn't even tell you what it was from, but it was some of the Canes talking about him, and they said if you've ever seen the other viral video, where they're like, he has the same energy as the kid from the "I have a knife" video, so they call him goalie with a knife. Because he's got that same vibe, that same chaotic vibe. And I just think that's hilarious.
Yeah, he's so fun to watch. And he's become more active on social media. So it's fun to see his personality.
Really
yeah, most of his content is in Russian, but you get the gist.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so he's definitely one of our favorites. So I had a style tip if you're interested.
Yes, please.
This one's a little bit of a stretch, but I was sitting here kind of looking around my hockey study. I've got a lot of goalie things pulled out for this episode. And what happened to catch my eye, you will laugh, is goalie related. It is a tiny infant size jersey for Sebastian Cosa. We talked about him a lot today. So if you're watching on YouTube, you can see tiny infant size. Here's the front. Red Wings jersey, and it's like really nicely done. I mean, it's just a real Cosa jersey, but for a tiny little human. So I bring this up because I learned that my dogs, who are one's about 17 pounds, one I'd say is around like 12, he's a puppy, they fit into infant-sized jerseys. So if you are a super fan, well, I did learn this from the one and only Megan Cole, who, fun fact, used to run an Etsy store selling dog accessories, handmade dog bows, chokers, beautiful, not literal chokers, but like flowers and things, beautiful items. But you have a dog, Rosie, who lives with your parents down in Tennessee, and she looks just like
golf cart life.
Yeah, she looks just like my dog, Preston, which may be why you have a soft spot in your heart for Preston. But we were taking them to Stadium Series with us since it's just a quick drive to Columbus this year. And of course, I wanted them to have Stadium Series jerseys. Like, what mother would I be to my dogs if they didn't have authentic jerseys? So Megan pointed out that infant size jerseys can fit a dog around, anywhere, I'd say probably from like 10 to 22 to 23 pounds. It just depends on their chest. So do some measurements, but I will post some pictures on our Instagram so you can see my little puppy. Pavel, for Pavel Datsuk, is a huge goalie fan because he stops tennis balls. Like, he is just the best goaltender in the world. So I got him a custom Costa jersey. So because we do have some fans who make it to the third period who are just as nuts as we are about our hockey loving lives, a little bit extra in all the best way. Feel free to check that out
Absolutely.
if you have a small animal.
Yeah. Perfect.
Kind of a funny one, but it will make for some good pictures to share on Instagram. You can check that out at Hockey Style Podcast. And I hope you will, if you're enjoying our content, go ahead and follow, subscribe wherever you're listening. We're so glad you're here with us, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
See you later.